not yours. Now, we just had a conversation on this floor earlier today where folks said, hey, you know what, Senator? Whatever you want to do in St. Charles, that's great. We want you to do it. But now that's changed because our federal overlords have said, if you do it this time in St. Charles County or Jefferson County or Franklin County, well, we're afraid of that. Senator, help me understand. Who is the sovereign entity in this relationship? The state of Missouri or the federal government in Washington, D.C.? And do you value that $52 million so much that you're willing to sacrifice the sovereignty of some of the citizens in this state in order to get a little bit extra cash?
Senator, what I will tell you is that the uncertainty associated with the language of your amendment leads me to not be supportive, and this body has previously not been supportive of applying this language and this possible reduction
Actually,
in
this body has been supportive. They voted it out.
Highway funds.
I understand that you stood up and said, hey, everybody, I have an agreement, but this body actually did vote it out. Maybe the other senators in this chamber value our state sovereignty more than you, Senator.
Maybe the other senators in this body, Senator, heard what we said on the floor when we had Senate Bill 40 before us. And they heard us when we said, we have a commitment from our counterparts in the House to remove this ambiguous language and this possibility of a reduction in our highway funds. And we're okay and we're trusting in the fact that our counterparts on the other side of the building will do that. Now, here we find ourselves in the last week of session reevaluating something that I believe this body has already talked about and did not have at that point in time, Senator, the ability to remove from Senate Bill 40.
Senate Bill 40 may or may not come back to this chamber. That is actually irrelevant to this conversation. What we have before us now, unless I misunderstood, is Senate Bill 661.
I think language associated with a bill that has previously passed is absolutely applicable to this conversation.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I believe that language associated with a bill that has previously passed out of this body is completely applicable to this conversation.
Senator, it is clear to me that you and I are not going to agree on this issue.
We're probably not going to agree on this
You believe in the power of the federal government in D.C. I understand. I understand. I'm not going to convince you otherwise. I understand that you would like to see the individuals in collar counties of St. Louis that don't include yours continuing to pay an emissions check that do nothing for this state nor nothing for the constituents paying that fee in order to maintain our subservient relationship to our overlords in Washington, D.C. I get that, Senator. I understand what's going on here. I get it. I get it. We're not going to, I used to have an old boss when I was in the Air Force. And he always used to have a favorite phrase, and the phrase was, we're not going to solve this here. He would always say this in meetings, right, whenever we would have meetings. And he'd get together and he would say, folks, we've got an issue out in an airplane, but you know what, we're not going to solve this problem here. And we would always kind of chuckle because we always say to ourselves, well, why are we having this meeting, right? Why are we having this meeting? And if I kind of look around the body right now, I mean, if we're not going to solve this problem where we have the federal government who simply ignores its own procedures to allow our citizens to come out from underneath regulations that have no purpose, serve no purpose other than to drain the resources of some of our citizens. If we're not going to solve this here, if we're too afraid to take this up at some point and say, you know what, here's a federal program, I don't care what the threat is that the federal government wants to levy against us, this does nothing for our citizens and we're willing to stand for our state sovereignty. If we're not going to solve this here, Senator, I get it. I respect your opinion to disagree. I wish that my constituents were in the enviable position of not having to pay for these useless emission checks that your constituents have. But, as I said before, Senator, we're not going to solve this here.